Why Tesla can't make money without regulatory credits. First of all, what are they? Well, regulatory credits are basically credits that a manufacturer earns as more green vehicles they produce and sell. So Tesla, they only produce green vehicles, you can call them green, because they're electric vehicles. So they are only producing zero emission, at the tailpipe at least, electric vehicles. And so Tesla has a bunch of these credits. So what that means is other manufacturers that don't have enough credits to actually sell the gas vehicles, they can buy credits from another company. That basically equates to GM, Ford, VW, Chrysler, all those other companies that don't have enough credits to actually sell their gas guzzling vehicles. They actually have to buy it from another manufacturer. So Tesla has a bunch of these credits because they only produce electric vehicles, and because of that they can actually sell those credits to other manufacturers that don't meet their requirements, so they can continue selling their gas guzzling vehicles. So if I take the example of GM, they really don't sell enough electric vehicles to offset their regulatory requirements to sell their gasoline vehicles, and because they don't, they can actually buy it from another company, and that other company happens to be Tesla because they only sell electric vehicles, and so they just have a pile of credits. Now what does that mean for other companies? Well, that means that other companies must buy their credits or stop selling their gas vehicles. But here's a way they can come around that. They can sell electric vehicles. Crazy idea, I know. Ford selling electric vehicles so that Tesla doesn't get regulatory credits anymore. And that would pretty much result in Tesla not getting credits from other manufacturers. But those other manufacturers in the first place have to sell those vehicles. If they don't sell the electric vehicles, then Tesla would still get the credits because the regulatory requirements require them to. All the supposed analysts on Wall Street, they're like, oh, Tesla didn't make money without regulatory credits. Well, you can do the same thing to every other thing. You can just say, well, Tesla didn't make any money because if you exclude every single vehicle they actually sold and profited from and just got any revenue from, they didn't produce revenue, they didn't even make profits. That's how stupid the argument sounds. Revenue is revenue, and if your competitors are willing to provide the funding to fund your gigafactories that you are about to build and are building and are expanding and their equipment for, if those competitors are willing to fund, obviously not willingly, but through regulations and whatnot, why wouldn't you take that money? Why would you discount it? Why would you even consider that that's not real money? That is definitely real money. That's almost the same as the example that I just took about just discounting all the cars. If you exclude all the money they made from their vehicles, well, then obviously they didn't make any money. That's how stupid the argument sounds. It's like, well, if you didn't have a job, maybe you wouldn't have an income. Yeah. Common sense. And here's the best part. Other manufacturers like GM, Ford, VW, all they have to do is just sell electric vehicles. That is it. And Tesla won't get any money. They won't have to spend whatever $500 million per every 3 months. And they actually just give it to them for free to fund their gigafactories that Tesla is making. They wouldn't have to do that if Ford, GM, VW just came out with their electric vehicles beforehand and just offset whatever regulatory requirement it is so they can continue selling their gas guzzlers. But no, they actually chose to not do that and just pay the fine instead because that will likely be cheaper, I guess. So now why is Tesla not making money, and why do they have to rely on, say, regulatory credits? Okay, now here's the thing. Tesla is a growth company, and because they're a growth company, they have to invest every single dollar they earn from whether it's cars or some other sources of revenue, like the money they earn from the regulatory credits, and they can also earn money from, say, their energy side, their solar side, and all that, whatever different sources of revenue that they have. When you are supply constrained, meaning that you have a lot more demand that you can meet, which is basically good for any business out there. If you have so much demand that you can't meet it with your current supply, that means you should invest in future buildings or factories and stuff like that so you can increase your supply to meet that demand. And that is exactly what Tesla is doing. Turns out building factories, that isn't cheap. And while building 2 factories and expanding 1 in China, Tesla is still showing a profit of about $400 million. That is why Tesla's plan is to double capacity every 18 months. So last year they sold about 500,000 vehicles. This year their target is 1 million because they're a little bit behind if you count from 2013 onwards. Next year, if you're counting doubling in 18 months and about 50% year over year, next year they'll sell about 1.5 million. The year after that they'll sell just over 2 million. The year after that, probably 3 to 4 million units. That's by 2024. And Elon Musk is saying that he is very confident that the Model Y will be the best selling product that they have in revenue by next year, so 2022, and by units, which is competing against the Corolla, because the Corolla actually sells about 1.5 million units every single year. So saying that by 2023 and possibly 2024 at latest, their Model Y would actually be selling more units than their Corolla. That tells you something really big. First of all, it tells you that their products are coming down in cost by a huge margin, because Corollas, first, they're quite cheap, really. If you're gonna talk about a Corolla, it's not that expensive. Model Y, much more expensive than a Corolla. Even though running cost-wise, still more expensive for the Model Y, but coming down in cost, more closer. Then you also add in the fact that currently, today, the Model Y is actually cheaper to manufacture than the Model 3. Yet the Model Y costs more, about $5,000 more per model. So you're basically saying your high margin vehicle is now going to be even more profitable because you're just going to be selling so many more units. And where are all those units going to come from? They don't have the capacity right now. It's like Giga Shanghai is expanding. They don't have the capacity in Giga Shanghai just yet. Fremont is expanding, not really. They really don't have enough room to expand. So where are they going to get the capacity from? Guess where? Giga Berlin. Giga Texas. Where do you think all the capacity is going to come from? It's going to come from those factories. And what are they doing right now? They're expanding those factories. They're pouring every single dime they have into those factories. They're spending as much as they possibly can. And basically what is left over is what you see, which is about $400 million in profits every quarter. Now just imagine, once those are ramped up, producing vehicles, high margin, possibly high priced or lower priced versus what it is right now, vehicles, imagine what will happen then. They're going to be making so much money that it'll be insane. And that is excluding whatever FSD will generate, because the subscription model, and obviously they're solving FSD, the energy side of the business. I'm talking exclusively about the car, and actually just one model of the car, the Model Y, which is going to be pretty much be producing this year, starting production this year in Giga Texas and Giga Berlin. It's going to have a new paint shop, so don't worry about the paint quality. It'll also be using the newer cells, the 4680s, which will probably give it a range of more than 400 miles. And it'll also get the price down, because you can just use iron-based cells, which are really cheap, and you can basically charge them up to 100%, drain them to like 0%, they don't really care, and basically use them for like a standard range Model Y that will be coming out in Giga Texas. I know they had a standard range Model Y earlier this year, and I do think they're gonna bring it back, but I think they got way too many orders for the standard range Model Y that they just can't make it, because they've been selling a Model 3 standard range plus for a while now with 250 miles of range or 240 miles of range, which recently got updated to 264 miles of range. So range isn't as big of an issue. And I see basically you go on any site and most popular model, I'm assuming, is the Tesla Model 3 standard range plus. And if you look at Tesla's earnings call, there's a small section in the report actually that they have added, and their average selling price, or probably production cost of a vehicle, is about $38,000. You know what the price is of the standard range plus Model 3? Right now it's about $39,000 currently speaking. And that is the average price, which means most of their sales are probably Model 3 standard range plus, which is dropping their average cost, and then obviously their long range, and then the long range Model Y, and then the performance models. And by the way, the Model Y long range and the performance model are very similar. They're basically the same car with probably beefier electronics. That's about it though. You got like a $10,000 more expensive car, but you're only spending about a few $1,000s more for basically an upgrade. Crazy what they are able to accomplish, and this is just gonna grow. They already have the highest gross margins in the industry, over 20%, and that's on their lowest price model, the standard range plus. Their higher models, they get about 30% margins, which basically legacy auto executives can only dream of. Basically the highest gross margin in the auto industry is about 10%. Tesla's more than doubled and tripled on their higher priced vehicles. So the Model S that are actually being produced, which is going to be shipping sometime hopefully by the summer, June, July probably, it is cheaper to produce that vehicle than it is to produce, I'm guessing what they were talking about, the older Model S, because they did say that this Model S is a cheaper vehicle to produce, but it is a superior product. I'm pretty sure they were talking about the previous model, which the previous model started about $69,420. This one starts at $79,900, something like that. So you increase the price by $10,000, give a superior vehicle to those people, and obviously they'll find value in spending the extra $10,000 on a Model S because it's refreshed and everything, but it's cheaper to manufacture than what they had before. Now tell me if that is not a recipe for some great margins in the future. Like even right now, I wouldn't be surprised if that vehicle had margins of over 35%. Okay, so this video completely transformed from what I wanted it to be at the beginning and now about 15 minutes later what it is now. So what I'm going to do is ask you if you enjoy this type of content, if you actually like what I did, basically a small recap of what happened on earnings call and just talking about how they make regulatory credits and how other manufacturers do it. If you want me to make some more videos explaining stuff like this, let me know in the comments down below and I'll probably look at your request and see what I can do. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel by watching my content. Hope you enjoy it. If you have any tips, leave them down below as well. So thank you again. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.